I can't even talk Christy getting into a helicopter, let alone going upside down in a helicopter. We're going to talk to the guy who does that.
In the hangar.
Welcome to this very special edition of In the Hangar. We're filming these at AirVenture. I'm Dan Milliken.
And I have a lot to say.
And she's Christy.
We'd like to welcome everybody to a special on location in the hangar. Thank you to our sponsors like Flying Eyes for letting us crash your booth.
Well, not only that, they've got these new jade color magnetic snap-on lenses.
It looks
Isn't that
very
cool?
jade.
Yeah.
And of course, thank you to
Mirrored jade.
Thank you to Clemens Insurance, Jerry. He has saved you a ton of money.
He has.
All right.
So if you need insurance, clemensinsurance.net. We've got Scott Urschel in the house, or in the hangar, and Scott is the helicopter pilot who does all that upside down stuff you see all the time. Scott, thanks for coming.
Thank you for inviting me. Appreciate it.
I have so many questions.
All right, we'll start with you.
Why are you the way that you are?
She says that to all helicopter pilots, by the way.
That's a good question. I was infatuated with helicopters when I was a kid. My uncle had the first Hughes 300 helicopter in Ohio, and when they brought it through Phoenix to ferry it back there, I went for a ride as a 5-year-old and wanted to fly helicopters my whole life. And no, I never thought I'd be doing this.
Okay. I just have a lot to process here.
Okay.
Because I need to know why upside down. Like, helicopters are one thing. Like, I feel like I could actually get on board with helicopters.
Okay.
Because I understand that. I fell in love with airplanes at a very young age. Terrified of helicopters, though, and that's a whole story. We can get into that in a minute. But, like, what I can't understand is helicopters doing
Upside
the flippity flip. Yeah.
Well, the story behind that is in 1986, I rebuilt a Hughes 500 helicopter with a friend of mine that was a mechanic for McDonnell Douglas helicopters. And he brought over a test pilot to do the first flight in it with me because we had put some items on it, some parts on it that we needed to do experimental flight testing on. So this pilot's name was Rich Lee. He was the McDonnell Douglas experimental test pilot. And he went up and did all the flight tests on it, came back down, took me up, and he said, "Have you ever rolled a helicopter?" And I'm like, well, no, I didn't even know you could roll a helicopter. He goes, well, let me show you. So he rolled it and looped it. And ever since then, I thought, man, I want to be able to do this.
Like, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
And it really is not. So if you loop an airplane, typically 3.5 to 4 G pull to loop an airplane. I can do loops under 2 Gs. So it's very benign. My wife flies with me. And
do you loop her?
I loop her. I loop and roll her all the time.
Okay. All right, let's keep this family. What's the physics involved? I mean, it's hard for me to get my head wrapped around the physics of how this thing is able to fly upside down.
So,
or is it just falling slowly?
It's not falling. So we can do rolls, multiple rolls, and not lose any altitude.
Okay.
So there are several models of helicopters that you can't loop. Robinsons, Bell Jet Rangers.
Yeah, please don't do that.
Yeah. So we wouldn't do that. But the first documented loop was in 1949.
Oh, wow.
By Sikorsky Helicopter Company. Test pilot Tommy Thompson, he was one of the first 100 helicopter pilots.
Well, his name was Tommy Thompson.
Yeah, and Tommy went out and they were doing a demo for the Army, and he told the mechanic, hey, give me a little more aft cyclic. I think I can loop this. So the physics are that you carry the centrifugal loads and you're really positive G or right about 1 G over the top, maybe a little bit less. And in this helicopter, the BO-105 is certified standard category plus 3.5 minus 1 G.
Okay.
So it can actually go negative G. Few other helicopters, if any, can actually not eat themselves if they go below 1 G.
Because the reasoning is
rigid rotor.
The main rotor can hit your tail.
Whack the tail, yeah.
Cut the tail
We've
off.
seen this happen.
Yes.
Well, not
recently, yeah.
Yes. So the physics are that the rigid rotor system or bearingless, hingeless rotor system in my helicopter is one solid forged piece of titanium. So the blades do not flap up and down at the rotor head. The flapping and the lead lag in the blade in all helicopters is done within the rotor blade itself, the composite structure of the rotor blade.
Flappy rotor blades.
Yeah. So,
I'm not feeling any more confident about this.
Oh, I can't wait to go. You've offered, and I want to take you up on that.
So
roll me.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So the physics are that if you maintain positive G, you can loop a variety. I have a low-level aerobatic waiver also in the MD-500 helicopter, which I'm sure you've seen. So that was the first helicopter that I learned to do aerobatics in, was the NOTAR, actually. In 1995, we raced it at the Phoenix 500 Air Race, and that's when I got my check out to do aerobatics.
How does one even learn how to do aerobatics in a helicopter? Like, are there special aerobatic helicopter CFIs?
Really, to my knowledge right now, I believe that Aaron Fitzgerald from Red Bull and myself are the only 2 pilots in the U.S. with a statement of aerobatic competency for helicopters.
So if I wanted to learn, let's say that I woke up tomorrow and I was like, yeah, helicopters, okay. You know what, aerobatic helicopters, let's do it.
You want to do it?
I would have to go to you.
You would have to find a mentor like I did, or like Aaron or the Red Bull guys did. They have probably one of the most accomplished aerobatic pilots in the world, Rainer Wilke from Germany. He was a German Air Force test pilot, and he trained all the Red Bull pilots to current today. I had Rich Lee, very famous Boeing experimental test pilot. It's not something that you can just go out and experiment with.
Right.
Because the helicopter, an airplane, you can go outside the flight envelope, stall the airplane, spin the airplane, recover it. There are a number of flight regimes in the helicopter that are unrecoverable.
They're like a hard no.
A hard no and an unrecoverable situation. So unfortunately, you have to have the aircraft that can do it. You have to have the funding to be able to practice. And it's very expensive to operate. Our helicopter is twin engine. It uses 2 C-20B Rolls-Royce Allison, so 2 engines out of a Jet Ranger or a Hughes 500.
Give me a number. How much does it cost to operate per hour? If I wanted to go out, I was like, hey.
My wife's here, so I'm not sure I want to really reveal that. But I think this year it's probably $3,000 an hour.
Holy cow.
Okay.
I mean, we had a maintenance event where we had to send the rotor blades in for inspection. They came back. It was $50,000.
So the next time she wants that new pair of shoes, just remember that. I got you.
So it's very expensive. So
okay.
Unless you have the financial backing from a sponsor to do it, that's probably the main reason why there's few people that do it.
Well, I'm not looking for sponsors to get rolled in a helicopter, but I'm just intrigued by this.
Besides a roll and a loop, any other kind of cool aerobatics that a helicopter can do that you wouldn't think?
You can do split S's. You can do a roll from or a loop from a hover. So you can do a climbing hover. As we keep a little bit of inertia going vertical, you can do a backflip from a hover. So I didn't do it in my display this week, but I do several other maneuvers that
You were the guy that was out there doing all that foolishness.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, he's the guy. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. It makes me very nervous watching you do that in a helicopter.
Does it?
So, yeah, it does. He's like, I'm going to do it even harder now.
Well, I've taken up a lot of different folks. I took up the head of the MITO certification office. She was a experimental test pilot. She came to Boeing, and a friend of mine was a test pilot for the FAA, and she wanted to go loop and roll in the helicopter. And her, I'll send you the video. Her first loop, after I did the first loop, it was just under 2 Gs because I usually keep everything very mild, not to make people sick.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's a bonus. And when I leveled off out of the loop, she goes, "This is the coolest thing I've ever done. I want your job."
See?
Okay, I would at least attempt it. With
you have to do it once.
I would do it with you. I will let you loop me in a helicopter.
Okay.
One time.
After you skydive?
Yeah, apparently that's happening.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, his wife went skydiving, but what's the story on that? She got somebody to mentor her on that.
Sure, and it's really not that hard to learn any of this. I mean, it's not hard to do what I do. You just have to have the right people to teach you.
Okay.
Right?
That's fair.
So we had Luke Akins, Red Bull skydiver.
The guy who was dropped into a net from
He jumped
space.
from 20,000 feet into a net with no parachute. And so he spoke at an event that we had for our company. And Gina said, if I'm going to learn to skydive and go on a tandem jump, I'm going to go with the guy that doesn't need a parachute.
But see, the difference is that she wanted to skydive, right?
I think so.
Okay, see,
You don't want to?
Well, I have no desire to jump out of a perfectly good airplane.
Well, you have no desire to go upside down in a helicopter either.
Okay.
I thought that too, but I wear a parachute because I fly a variety of
We
airplanes.
would wear I was going to say, because we're doing aerobatics, we'd be wearing parachutes, right?
Not
in a helicopter?
No.
Well,
nobody
guess
has successfully
I
parachuted
was
from a
gonna
helicopter
say-
because of the rotor
I was
blades.
gonna say.
Not on purpose.
Not on
Yeah.
purpose, yeah.
Right.
So,
There's a lot going on here.
yeah, so.
Besides helicopters, what else do you fly?
I'm type rated in several corporate jets, Citation,
So he
CJ.
does the fixed wing.
Yeah, I do. I fly jets and
Okay.
fly the Citation Encore pretty regularly.
Okay.
Citation M2, Sovereign, flown the Learjet a little bit, Lear 25.
Okay.
So I love that. I love flying warbirds as a passion of mine. The last 6 or 7 years, I started flying the P-51, P-40.
Corsair?
No, that's my next. I've flown the Wildcat, the P-40, and the P-51, and
Of
it's
course
cool.
you have.
So the reason why I went out, I didn't learn to skydive, but I've made several jumps. It's because I wear a parachute in an airplane, and I thought, hey,
If I'm gonna have to use this thing.
I should probably not learn on my first jump by
Right.
myself. So,
Right.
so I think it's a good idea. If you fly aerobatics, you wear a parachute, you should get some training.
It's a pretty good idea.
It's all about risk mitigation.
Okay. Well, if I'm going to go upside down in a helicopter, it's going to be with you.
Perfect.
So
When
Well,
Dan come out and we'll take you up.
Yeah, we'll do
Dan
it all
said he'd
together.
pay for it.
Well, you know
so-
what? I'm going to be in Dallas in October doing an air show.
Really?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm going to be in.
Dang it! Now I actually have to do
at an
it.
event. So
I
you
was like, I'll
just
never
said that,
see
but
him
I'll never see this
again.
He
guy.
talks like that, and then it's the passive aggressive. Oh, I'm busy that weekend.
Ooh, I'm gonna
Sorry.
be working that
Oh, I
month.
can't get off. Envoy. I can't get
Yeah,
off.
right.
So I'll talk to your boss. We're gonna keep
Oh
you
my
clear.
God.
No, I think that I'm an instructor. I'm a CFII fixed
Okay.
wing as well as helicopter.
Okay.
I just recently taught Kirby Chambliss, the Red Bull
Right,
airplane
yeah,
pilot,
yeah,
how
yeah.
to fly helicopters.
See, I want to get my rotor.
Yeah, you have
Rating.
to. So Kirby has 24,000 hours, I think, is the number, and we always joked about teaching him to fly helicopters. Well, he moved into my air park. And he said,
Nice.
called me one day and he says, okay, I'm ready to take you up on it. Let's do it. So in 31 days, we went from no rating to his
Whoa.
add-on.
Well, that was one of my questions. How long does it take for a fixed wing pilot to get the helicopter rating, and how much does it cost?
So it's typically about 40 hours of training. You can go to a 141 program school and eliminate the solo and do it in 30 hours.
Okay.
So if you go to a program where you can do that. So that's what I recommend to most people. So if you have a commercial. you
even
can
with
do
a fixed wing, a
Yes.
commercial, even CFI, you're going to need 40 hours in the helicopter.
You're going to need 40 hours. The helicopter has no inherent stability. You can trim the airplane, right? And
Right.
move the flight controls. I mean, that's how they certify airplanes. You trim it for straight and level flight, go to flight control, stops, and it should level back out in 3 cycles. Helicopter, not so much. So the helicopter requires, constant, both hands, both feet.
Finessing.
I had the opportunity many years ago to, you're too young to know who this is, but Daryl Greenemeyer was a famous test pilot for Lockheed. He was the Skunk Works test pilot on the SR-71. To this day, he still holds the world speed record in F-104 at 100 feet at 1.4 Mach.
Wow.
Held the
100
propeller-driven speed record. I took him up to teach him to fly, and I'm teaching him to hover the helicopter, and very accomplished pilot, right? And he looks over at me and goes, Urschel, if I flew an airplane that flew this horrible, I would eject. So that's been my experience, but I'll tell you, Kirby learned to fly several months ago. I think he has 150 hours. He bought a Robinson R-44,
Nice.
and he's like a little kid.
Wow.
So it's really, it's just a different type of flying. I tell people, if magic carpets were real, this is it.
Okay. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm down for it. So
Got to try it.
I'll at least attempt it. How about
right,
that?
cool.
All right. I just have one question. What is something that people may not know about you? It may or may not be aviation related, because we know a lot about you and your upside down, terrifying, antics. But what is something that people wouldn't necessarily know about you?
Well, I'm super fortunate to have an amazing family. I have 2 daughters and a son. My son just turned 20. My daughters are 36 and 32. And I have 3 lovely grandchildren.
Wow.
I have,
Your grandfather.
I'm a grandfather. I have twins that are 2, boy and a girl.
Wow. Okay.
Jet. My son-in-law is a helicopter pilot
I
as
love
well. His name is Jet, J-E-T-T, and Grace.
and the other ones. Oh, I thought
The
I said
6-year-old.
Ranger was
No, that's
Jet
not
and Ranger.
No. And then my other little granddaughter is 6, and she is wonderful. Her name is Harper, and she just recently told my wife that she was showing her video of me flying at an air show, and she goes, "Oh, I want to go up with Papa."
Nice.
We have a wonderful family. I have two stepsons as well, and my son learned to soloed on his 16th birthday.
Okay.
He soloed a Robinson R44, an Aeronica Champ, and then got his driver's license before lunch.
Nice.
But we
Nice.
love to spend time with our family, and I think that for me, this is my passion, and they all
Yeah.
share my passion.
That's
really awesome.
My
nice.
other son-in-law just got hired by NetJet. He's
Oh,
a
good.
captain on a Longitude
So this really is a family.
flying family.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes,
so
we live in
family
Hangar
man,
Park, and yeah.
proud papa.
Yeah,
I like it.
so-
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, and make sure if you haven't, check out Scott flying. Go to the air shows when you see that upside down helicopter. This is the guy probably doing it.
That guy is crazy.
That guy's crazy. All right, thank you guys for watching, and don't forget our sponsors. We mentioned a couple of them before, but we also have MPS, Marshall Protective Services, Colton Mortgage for your residential mortgage needs, coltontakingoff.com, and Z-Vision, the brightest landing and taxi lights out there. And the best camera mounts, iPhone and tablet mounts for your cabin. They would even stay if you went inverted. So 67 Design,
You should try that.
67D.com. Thank you guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
In the hangar.